What is going on? So I'm out here taking inventory of the cabinet. I need to get a few more things. I need to get one more cabinet in here so I can stock it up. I've got all my new stuff over there on the bench. I need to find somewhere for it. We haven't been doing much painting here lately, but we're going to get back into it. I picked the paint up for the convertible yesterday so I can get this done. I got to do probably another 20 hours with the body work and some welding. I have to weld the floor pans in here. So I need to either pick up a solenoid for my welder or go ahead and buy one and just finish this project up. I really want to get rid of this car. And this will be my next priority here. I've been putting it off. And I took a little time to work on my car, and I really should have finished this one first. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one done. I've got another project car coming in that I purchased, and it should be here later today. We're going to be working on that. I'll do a little video. I'm sort of excited to get something that I'm excited to work on. You know, it's been a while since I really wanted to be out in the shop. So that'll be coming later today. And we got a phone call earlier today, and talked to the man that manufactures this primer here, and he's out of Tennessee. And Andrew said he's a really nice guy, and they talked on the phone for quite a while. And he has a whole product line of this, type of product, different clears and stuff. And we're gonna probably work together and try to, bring some of this stuff to you. He can ship it right to you from where he's at. And I haven't got the price sheet or a list of the products yet, but I'm looking forward to doing some demos. And if the product's good, I can pass it on to you guys, and maybe you can save a ton of money. I know a lot of you are discouraged by the price of materials. It can be pretty expensive. I mean, I really don't know. A lot of people keep their stuff in safes, and if you added up what all this paint and stuff would cost, it'd be a pretty valuable cabinet here. Not to mention the toners, and paint's just not cheap anymore. So anytime you can find an aftermarket alternative, it's a really good deal, especially if you're doing different types of cars. So we got this bad boy here. We got a little more body work to do. We'll get it prepped up. Probably another couple weeks of work, and we'll get this one painted and get it out of here. Like I said, I got a project coming in to work on, so that'll be coming up maybe later today. Got a few errands to run, and then I'll get it over here. And I picked up some items like this to restore and play with, just because I'm a little bored. This is an old grain scale. Went to one of those auctions and found this bad boy. It is functioning. It all works, and it's got a nice brass scale on it there that'll clean up really sweet. So I don't know if this is something that'll go on back into use, or if it's like a decoration item. I picked this little toolbox up for a song, and it's full of wrenches, different stuff, Craftsman and gear wrenches. So the gear wrenches are what are they, $50 a set, $60 a set now. There's a whole set of those in there, and miscellaneous stuff, and the little box, of course. I picked that up. I think I paid $30 for that. Couldn't beat that. And then I picked this winch up. I believe that's what it is. It's got this little braking handle on it that works, and it's a one-way type deal. So I thought that was cool, and I liked the noise it made, so I picked that up. I don't know if I'll sandblast that and paint it, or leave it patinaed. Same with the scale. I was thinking about painting it black and buffing the brass all up and making it look really sweet, but it might be more appealing to somebody rusted. People like rusted stuff, so I never figured that out. But so that's where we're at. That's what's going on around here. I do have the SR20 project header out here. I got to finish this up. This needs to get a wastegate put on it now. Need to position it in the engine compartment and figure out where that's going to go so it doesn't interfere with the firewall or any of that. So Hans picked this header up, and a guy in Orlando made it for him, and it's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. It's all right. It's made out of a bunch of U-bends. It's all stainless. I'm not really sure about the collector, though. I think it might be, I don't know. We'll just give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's stainless. but it needs to be deburred. It's got some flashing in there. And if you buy one of these, you know, you need to be really leery. You need to go in. There's a proper way to weld headers up, and most people don't take the time to do it the correct way. And you know, you can stick your finger in a header and figure out really quick if it was purged with argon first. And when you weld stainless, it's the best practice is to seal this header completely, or whichever tube you're working on at the time, and purge it with pure argon. And that way you get a nice clean weld on the inside of the pipe as well as the outside. When you don't purge it, the weld is all pretty out here, and then when you run your finger in the inside of the pipe, it's less than stellar. So this is what we got to work with. I'll clean this up, and it's obviously a little nicer than the cast iron factory piece, and it moves the turbo to the, I think it's a top mount. It's a top mount. It's not a bottom mount, so it's a top mount. And I can't remember the other, I believe the other factory header was a top mount also, but I think it might lower it down a little bit so you get a little hood clearance deal. But got to get in there and deburr that for him. And still haven't got any valves for the head. He's sleeping with that in his room right now. And as soon as we get the valves and all that stuff, I'll set the installed heights up, and we'll do all that, shim it. And there's not a lot of valve adjustment on those. You got to shim the pack to get it right. So that's where we're at. We'll clean this up next and be moving on with the Project SR20. And yeah, Hans is steadily working. I don't know, he said he got some money or something. Oh, his tax return. So his pistons were in Orlando yesterday, so I'd expect to see those today on the UPS truck. So we'll do a little video of the pistons when they come in and stuff like that. Somebody wanted to know about the squish area, reducing the squish area and causing detonation. And removing the squish area doesn't cause detonation. It can cause the motor to be less efficient if it's naturally aspirated. You of course want to try to save any kind of combustion chamber squish area that you have. But when you go to turbocharge, you have two different setups on motors. You know, when you set the compression, that's called a static compression, and that's when we can do the math. We can measure our deck height, we can measure the cc's in our cylinder head, and we come up with a mathematical equation that gives us our compression ratio, our static compression ratio. With the turbocharged motor, you have a dynamic compression ratio, and that's a running compression ratio on boost. Turbo is a multiplier of compression. It increases the cylinder pressure, which raises the compression of the motor dynamically when the motor is running. And for this reason, we need to make the combustion chamber as big as we possibly can to suppress the detonation. Also, removing those walls lets it have better flame propagation across the chamber, better flow, and flow is power. So the boost, the extra boost, will make up the power if any was lost by changing that head. And what we're doing is we're opening our tuning window. When you have a small combustion chamber and a high compression motor, your window is sort of narrow. You either have to run a mesh system or some kind of method to suppress the detonation. The other method is to lower the static compression and then have a running compression that's suitable for the engine to survive in. So you can see also this piston's a dish piston. So the squish area is that's it. You know, you can see where the piston hit the head when the rod broke, and that would be your only squish area on this piston at all. And if we clean this motor up, I've seen a lot of SRs online. When you see it with the head off, you'll see little pits in the pistons, and that's not from bits getting in the motor. That's detonation attacking the top of the piston. And a lot of times in a super high performance application, when we build the motors, we'll actually radius the edge of the piston so it's not sharp, and that'll keep the ring landings from breaking, and that'll also suppress the detonation. And that's what we're looking for here. We don't want any detonation. We had a little bit of it before. This motor does have a knock sensor, so it does automatically pull timing out, but you know, we're going to a standalone unit on this, so we're gonna have to make adjustments. So we do not want a repeat of this. So somebody wanted to know if I had the rod. And there's the there's a piece of it. That's a piece that's left. So that was another thing. One quick note: I had one of my friends that had a rod failure. Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
And I wanted to explain something to you about using these aftermarket rods. When you're using a factory part, you can very easily go pick up any manual and you get a torque spec, and if you follow the torque spec, more than likely you're going to have decent results with stock parts. However, when you go to an aftermarket part such as this H-beam rod, this rod incorporates 3/8 bolts. The failure in question was a 5/16 bolt, and I've seen it a lot of times. The guys will build motors at home by themselves. They don't want to take their motor somewhere and have it built. And one of the tools that you should never probably overlook when you're going to build one of these engines at your house by yourself, I don't care if you use a Corella rod, or if you use a Potter rod, or if you use a bug pack rod or a scat rod, it's a step that has to be taken with an aftermarket rod bolt. This bolt is not the same construction as the typical cast iron or steel bolt in a factory rod. It's a much better alloy steel, and it takes more torque to get the bolt to stretch. And what people don't understand is just because you torque a bolt to 45 foot-pounds doesn't mean that the bolt is properly stretched. You have to have 5 or 6 thousandths stretch on this bolt for it to clamp this rod shut. Now you can tighten it. It's tight right now, but the rod is not clamped in the position that it needs to survive in. You need to measure the bolt in your static position, and what I mean by that is you run the bolt down to where it's snug, where you can't loosen it with your hand, and then you measure the bolt. And then when you torque the bolt, you want to have 6 thousandths. You want this bolt to stretch 6 thousandths. You want it to grow so it has a clamping load on your cap. If you don't have the clamping load, you won't have the bolt won't be effective. The bolts have to stretch to have the clamp. And you can use a stretch gauge to make a rod bolt checker, and that's a piece of equipment that you should just order. Just go ahead and get that off the internet. If you're going to build your own motor, get a stretch gauge so you can measure your rod bolts and make sure that they're torqued properly. The number that they give you in the box doesn't necessarily reflect what you need to torque this bolt to get the proper stretch. So that's one thing that we haven't talked a lot about on the channel, and it's critical on this type of rod. I've seen it a lot of times where people buy a nice engine kit with a set of H-beam rods. They just torque the rods to 35, 40 pounds like the instructions say, and they don't measure the stretch of the bolt, and the rod comes apart, and usually it's a bolt failure. So 5/16 rod bolts, you can make them work. This motor in here has 5/16 rod bolts, so it only goes 5/80s, and 9s in the quarter. It's not very radical. But however, it does have a set of bug pack rods in it, and they're not probably the choice that a lot of engine builders would make. And I bought them when I was younger in a trade deal. And I remember the shop that I was working at the time, Scooters down at R&S. He had a pretty good relationship with Gene, and he would visit often, and we would see him a lot. And we were talking about the rods, and he says, "Man, you need to let me put good bolts in those for you, or they'll fail." And I sent them out there, and the rods usually cost about $250. The bolts were $400. So you can buy a good 5/16 bolt. Gene's got them available. There's other manufacturers that have them. If you try to use the 5/16 bolt that's supplied with the rod, it's going to fail for sure. And the 3/8 bolt, all it does is it just band-aids that problem a little bit, because the bolt's bigger, but the quality of the bolt's usually shitty. When you get it in the rod, you have to buy an ARP fastener and upgrade it that way. Scat makes its own bolt. Several companies make their own rod bolts, and the ARP stuff's the way to go. These aren't ARP bolts in here. They're I want to say they're car bolts. I don't know what I think they say CAR on them. I know they're very expensive, and I know every time I take this motor out to service it, the rods are perfect in it. So it was a good investment. It was a big bullet at the time, and that was $419.80. So I don't know what that would even cost now. You know, I guess you just buy a set of Potter rods and be done with it. But some of that stuff wasn't available when I put this together. So a lot of people don't understand. I mean, when we take this thing out to service it, which is going to be very soon, because I don't want to give any treats up, but we're going to have something going on here soon. When I pull the motor out, I'll show you the date on the clutch. It's state stamped 1985 from the factory. So it's all about parts management. You know, if you take care of your stuff, you can have those parts for a long time. And if you don't take care of it, you can not have the parts for a long time. The choice is yours. So that's what's going on. Let me get the day going here. Got to do some things with Andrea today. It's her day off, and I got to go pick up that project. And need to go by FTI and get a freeze plug for the detent hole, the switch hole. It's not getting hooked back up, and the speedo on this bad boy. I installed the governor in it the other day and put that in. I still need to flip this over and install the valve body, put the check balls in it and finish that up, and this will be done. This needs to get put in the car, and we need to get a drive shaft coming. That's the next expense. I imagine that's going to be $400 or $500 for a drive shaft. So, not really looking forward to that, but it's got to be done. And once that's done, we'll have a shaft for a Turbo 350 and one for a 400, and we can move on with this thing. I got to get this thing running. Gotta get it together. I gotta bolt the fenders on here and get the core support. I haven't painted the core support. I'm gonna try to do that this afternoon, paint that, cut the hood in, so I can start hanging the fenders and building the core support, put the radiator in, wire the fans, and all that good stuff. And it's amazing the lack of progress this thing has. I mean, I work on it every day, but I don't see it. So, I don't know. Maybe today I'm gonna buy a belt. That's my goal today, buy a belt that fits, and I'll get some sense of accomplishment walking by and not seeing that belt not fit on there. But I need to pick an air cleaner up. I don't think hood clearance is going to be an issue anymore with the cowl hood, but we need to do that. And I really need to pick a carburetor up. When I buy a new carburetor, I really don't want to use all this stuff for my turbo car, so it's all weird. You know, I don't even know if it'd run on a big block. It'd probably be way too fat. But that's where we're at. This is going on. Thanks for all the new subscribers. And guys, thanks for hanging in there while I wasn't feeling good. I'll try to get the videos rolling for you again. Feeling a little better. And at least we'll start making some forward progress now, I'm pretty sure. So. You guys have a good day. Push that record button. Go out in the shop and make something happen.